YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy D Dyson. House of the Dragon episode 8 breakdown, Game of Thrones, everything that we missed, the details from the kings and the queens of the breakdowns, new rock stars. Be sure to go over there and go subscribe to them. Let's check this out, because Viserys was, man, I was wondering when he was going to go, but he went out like a G before he left. That man laid the law down. Let's check this out.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of House of the Dragon episode 8, when the Phantom of the Red Keep gets one final nice family dinner in.
Oh, it feels good to laugh.
As always, let's break down this episode shot by shot for all the Game of Thrones nods, visual details, and deeper layers of meaning you might have missed. And while I may not be the first breakdown out there, I watched this episode like the rest of you did, with the benefit of HBO subtitles, so I actually caught every bit of dialogue that was said in this episode, and the super amazing metaphors and deeper implications of them. This episode is titled The Lord of the Tides, one of the titles of Corlys Velaryon, whose absence, fate, and succession is the catalyst for this episode. We open in Driftmark on the backside of his driftwood throne, which the camera cranes over in the specific way to make it look like it is sinking in frame, its influence waning into the sea. And as it descends out of frame, we see Rhaenys, the queen who never was, but her power and station rising this episode. Corlys's neck was slashed in an ambush from the Triarchy, who are now in an alliance with Dorne. Maester Kelvin reports that the Ravens came in from Evenfall, which is the seat of House Tarth, across Shipwrecker Bay from Storm's End. Rhaenys clocks that he is 3 days away, establishing some logistics for the geography and travel time. Driftmark and Dragonstone are islands that are 3 days by sea from the coastal Stormlands, which is roughly the same distance as King's Landing is, yet Dragon Riders can get to King's Landing or the Stormlands in less than a day's time. All this is gonna be very important for future characters who are gonna be racing to Storm's End, trust me. Vaemond says Driftmark should go to him as a trueborn Velaryon, and he assumes that the crown will side with him.
But it's not a king who sits the Iron Throne these days, good sister. It's a queen.
Rhaenys doesn't flinch because, as the queen who never was, she knows that we live in a society where a queen who speaks from the throne only has so much power. On Dragonstone, construction cranes top the battlements, showing how Rhaenyra and Daemon are currently fortifying it. The camera swoops in toward this mountaintop, which is actually a dormant volcano that formed this island. Daemon descends a massive crack, bracing like Cusco and Pacha do. But this crack matches the general shape of Aegon the Conqueror's Valyrian steel dagger, Daemon being the treacherous master of sneaks, dancing along the edge of this prophetic blade. Daemon's recovering some dragon aids from a clutch left by Syrax, that's Rhaenyra's dragon. This clutch is a massive, steamy, fleshy mound that requires you to pick at it, presumably a sack left to protect all 3 of these eggs. Now, Rhaenyra previously offered one of these eggs for Aemond as part of her pitch to Alicent in episode 6, but Fire and Blood tells us that this latest clutch, this is the one right before the Civil War begins, produces one egg that will go to Rhaena to hatch into the dragon called Morning. The others will go to Rhaenyra and Daemon's sons, Aegon and Viserys. The Dragon Keeper's clothes might look familiar. It's because Daemon and Rhaenyra were wearing Valyrian robes just like this for their wedding ceremony last episode. Jacaerys works with Maester Gerardus, speaking in Valyrian the history of Aegon the Conqueror's arrival at the Blackwater Rush, establishing that city's namesake of King's Landing.
The Conqueror and his sisters sailed the great army and landed at the Blackwater Rush. Dranyut. The end? The mouth.
Yeah, Jace's translation leaves out the word dranyot, or mouth, maybe setting up another kind of blindness to mouths from this kid, like the mouth of a dragon. They're using the famous painted table of the Targaryen family, formed by Aegon the Conqueror. This is the one later used by Stannis, Baratheon, and Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones, meaning that this table's gonna get moved from this great hall to the higher chamber, and explaining why when we saw Daemon and Mysaria in that chamber, it wasn't there. Jace is determined to get the Valyrian right.
Quesi misnaxion Aegon undas.
Aegon ordered that the tree should be killed.
Felled. It is a related word.
Yeah, this distinction between killed and felled, also worth remembering, for felling a dragon from the sky is essentially killing its rider. Rhaenyra worries.
Rhaenys flames a cord. Surely she cannot be planning to back here.
No.
Yeah, Rhaenys flew her dragon Melis to King's Landing, but Rhaenyra and Daemon leave their dragons at home and travel by sea. Why do they do this? Well, maybe they don't want to pose a threat in their humble petition for Driftmark to go to where it was supposed to, whereas Rhaenys wants to exert her power. Really though, I just think Rhaenyra wanted to be able to stay with her babies, and Rhaenys was in more of a hurry to make the trip before Corlys' return. And as they arrive, we hear,
All hail Rhaenyra, House Targaryen, Princess of Dragonstone and heir to the Iron Throne, and her royal consort, Prince Daemon Targaryen.
Yes, this is Stefan Darklin, a key ally in the Kingsguard who will play a very important role for Rhaenyra next episode. Rhaenyra is stood up at the entrance the way she and Viserys were in episode 5 at Driftmark, but greeting them is Lord Caswell. This is the lord who congratulated her on the stairs in episode 6, another very important future ally. Inside the Red Keep, throughout the castle, the dragon orgy artwork has all been taken down. In the window is now a 7-pointed star of the Faith of the Seven. In past episodes, we saw how Alicent took down the orgy art in her own chamber while leaving it up around the halls, but now we see she has taken it down everywhere. So that now, if you notice, it only remains in Viserys' chamber. Another 7-pointed star looks down over the small council chamber, matching the huge necklace worn by Alicent. Lord Beesbury is still kicking around as Master of Coin, and his chains bear a few bees.
Bees?
Beesbury discusses the Septons wanting funds for a bronze bust to celebrate the Festival of the Mother, which Alicent cuts off, proving that she's not actually that pious of a worshiper of the faith. This is all for show, just as her prayers before the Mother statue at Rhaenyra's mother's altar back in episode 2 were also false. Alicent meets a Kingsguard.
Whatever it is, Sir Eric, you need to wait.
I'm Eric, Your Grace.
Of course. My apologies, sir.
Yes, this is Eric Cargill with an E, twin brother to Arik Cargill with an A. Just some ridiculous wordplay set up by George R. R. Martin. Alicent mixing up Eric will also set up Eric to follow Sir Darklin to support Rhaenyra next episode. Misspelling Eric's name and he will never forget! Viserys' model of Valyria has collected dust and cobwebs, incense wafting smoke into the air, looking like the literal ruins of Valyria after it burned down. Viserys rots in his bed, bandages covering his emaciated head and neck. They definitely use VFX to thin out Paddy Considine's body. His teeth are rotting too, which actually might be a result of the milk of the poppy that he's been guzzling down for the pain. Paddy Considine actually confirmed to Entertainment Weekly's West of Westeros podcast that Viserys is suffering from a form of leprosy. Also, let's remember, this character is only 52 years old, which is really just the numbers reversed from 25.
You're 25?
Yes! Can you believe it? Finally old enough to rent a car!
Rhaenyra introduces her and Daemon's sons, Aegon and Viserys, named politically, perhaps to give them a stronger claim to the throne someday, should anything happen to Jace, Luke, or Joffrey, and probably as a dig at Alicent naming her son Aegon. Alicent's maid, Talia, brings before her a serving girl Aegon assaulted named Diana. Diana grovels at her feet, and with Alicent's 7-pointed star necklace and her hair tied in a tight bun, she definitely does come off like the statue of the mother that we saw in the Sept in episode 2, which is ironic considering what Alicent does in this scene. Talia, meanwhile, who's had a bigger and bigger role in this series, is played by Alexis Raven, who is married to showrunner Miguel Sapochnik. Alicent makes Diana drink the same Plan B tea that Rhaenyra was given at the end of episode 4. Rhaenyra and Daemon worry about Viserys' care.
I believe we should also consult Maester Gerardus. Perhaps if he could see the king, he'd suggest a different.
Yes, Master Gerardus again is Rhaenyra's Dragonstone Maester. In the text, Gerardus was Rhaenyra's pick to succeed Grand Maester Mellos, but Alicent denies this in favor of her own Maester. Orwyle is the one who gets picked as a compromise. Alicent enters and notices the scar on Rhaenyra's arm from the dagger cut last episode, which Gerardus stitched up. You can actually see his stitches are part of that scar tissue. And I love how Rhaenyra instinctively raises her arm to the wound, both hiding the scar and protecting her young in Alicent's presence. Alicent defends her redecorating.
The emblems of the Seven serve only to guide us on an uncertain path, to remind us of a higher authority. But be assured the Father is just and commands me to forget the accusations you have held in this room today.
Alicent refers to the Father, the member of the Seven who represents justice, but also invokes her own literal father, the Hand, Otto. In the yard, Jace and Luke watch Aemon spar with Sir Criston. At first, Luke is too short to see over the shoulder, but when Aemon turns around, Luke suddenly remembers slashing out his eye. Aemon dodging Criston's Morning Star is especially effective considering with only one eye, his depth of perception would be limited. And damn, does actor Ewan Mitchell know how to use that one visible eye.
I don't give a shit about Tawnies. Nephews?
Yes, he says nephews before his eye creepily shifts over to their eye line, showing how he definitely spotted them in the crowd moments earlier during the fight. Vaemond marches in, flanked by guards with House Hightower sigils on their chest plate, showing his allegiance with the Greens. And when Otto and Vaemond and Alicent meet in the small council chamber, notice how those punch card balls that they used to mark their presence for official meetings are all still in the central bowl, showing us how this meeting is super off the books and shady. Rhaenys accuses Rhaenyra of having Laenor killed in front of the Weirwood tree. This is the same location a young Rhaenyra had to face Alicent's accusations in episode 4. But whereas then Rhaenyra crossed in front of the tree to turn the tables and give herself the high ground with the lies she told Alicent, here Rhaenyra is able to maintain the truth that she didn't actually kill Laenor, and she merely joins Rhaenys' side so that they both face the tree together. The two women equals. Rhaenyra presses Viserys on whether Aegon's dream was true, because if not, her burden is just too heavy, and Viserys mumbles,
My only child.
Yeah, Viserys has definitely had far more children at this point with Alicent, but mentally he's back in time to he and Rhaenyra's chat about Aegon's dream in episode 1. That is the conversation he loops back to at the end of the episode. And notice how a rat is scurrying on the Valyria diorama. Since it's been 6 years, it's probably not the same rat as the one Viserys saw at the end of episode 6. Rats only live 2 or 3 years. But in Fire and Blood, we meet assassins named Blood, who's a butcher, and Cheese, who's a rat catcher, who without spoiling much, play crucial roles in this coming civil war. These rats could be setting up the entrance of Cheese, a character we might meet at the end of the season or maybe next season. Viserys, despite his pain, refuses Milk of the Poppy now, on the morning of these petitions being called, showing how it truly was this narcotic that made him so incoherent. Just think about it, if you have leprosy at 52, it doesn't mean you also have dementia. So in the throne room, we start with this overhead shot of the Iron Throne that matches the overhead shot that we ended on that showed the Driftwood throne from above. Together, these back-to-back chairs, one faces eastward toward the sea, one faces westward toward the rest of Westeros. Vaemond claims that he's the closest in kin to Corlys's blood, omitting Jace and Luke, and Rhaenyra protests, but Alicent shuts it down.
You would have chance to make your own petition, Princess Rhaenyra. Do Sir Vaemond the courtesy of allowing his to be heard.
Yeah, notice how to the left, Aegon releases a smug grin. And as Vaemond talks, notice there's a little moment where Daemon looks over to Rhaenyra and she gives him the subtlest nod, giving him total approval to cut off this guy's face in a second. But put yourself in my position. You're a fan of House of the Dragon, you love the dragon battles, but there's only one episode per week and it just isn't enough. If you want more dragon battles in your life, you're gonna need some help. You're gonna need Magic the Gathering Arena. Magic the Gathering Arena brings the vast scope of the deck building, card collecting classic to your phone. This year, Magic the Gathering is celebrating its 30th anniversary, and it's bigger than ever. In MTG Arena, you can learn to play, collect cards, challenge your friends, and build decks that show off your favorite fandom. No matter what you're into, you'll find it in MTG Arena, which has tons of different themed planes based on horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and more. You can experience dragons, sorcery, and creatures throughout the planes of Magic, and even enter into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. You can build dragon decks and have dragon pets, just like a Targaryen does. Though, are they really pets? I mean, who rescued who there, right? MTG Arena is a great entry point to get into or get back into Magic. All you have to do is download the game on mobile, tablet, or desktop to play. And if you're looking for a helping hand, you can learn to play or catch up on all things MTG Arena using their official YouTube channel. To get started with Magic the Gathering Arena, just click the link in the description below. Download MTG Arena for free and begin assembling your dragon deck today. But Viserys surprises everyone by showing up. Vaemond exchanges panicked looks with Otto and Alicent because his whole strategy of coming to King's Landing depended on Viserys staying bedridden. Because last time everyone saw each other, Viserys threatened anyone who claimed Rhaenyra's kids were bastards would lose their tongues. We also get a close-up a bit later of Rhaenys taking this in. This is the moment she shifts her position to be in favor of supporting the strong boys. Viserys wears his half mask made of gold with a teardrop ribbon down the cheek and curved edges, altogether evoking the molten crown for a king, worn by his descendant Viserys in the Game of Thrones era. As Viserys approaches the throne, on the right we see Sir Eric and Jace are the only ones to nod their heads at first. Viserys' crown falls off his head, and Daemon picks it up for him. Apparently, this fall was purely an accident during the take, and Daemon helping him might have been improvised by Matt Smith. And now we get this great moment where Daemon literally crowns his brother, and it becomes such a symbolic act of respect. The rogue prince acknowledging his brother's authority and his wisdom, even the wisdom to supplant him as heir. Rhaenys decides to side with Rhaenyra and her son, supporting Rhaenyra's plan to marry Jace to Baela and Luke to Rhaena, which would settle the Driftmark dispute because a generation later, Velaryon blood would be back on the Driftwood throne. Alicent and Otto looked gut-punched because it aligns Driftmark, the whole navy, Rhaenys' dragon Melis, and Baela with her dragon Moondancer, all with the blacks. And notice how in the scene, Rhaenys and Baela previously stood closer to the green side of the room, so now this is a major realignment. Vaemond, pissed, signs his own death sentence.
I will not see it ended on the account of this. Say it. Her children are bastards!
Yeah, I love a good scream from someone with nothing to lose.
If you want to stop me, you're gonna have to kill me!
And Vaemond even goes a step further.
And she is a whore. Will have your tongue for that.
He can keep his tongue.
Yeah! Wow! Okay, so Daemon's sword, Dark Sister, is Valyrian steel, so it definitely cuts clean. Though Daemon would have to have precise aim to leave Daemon's tongue intact like that, to have that quip planned. But my favorite reaction comes from Helaena. Notice how she grabs the side of her head, as if she's worried hers will get removed too. Aemond, meanwhile, smiles at this, as if to realize, good, I'm not the only casualty in this civil war, and now the ante has been upped. Otto orders Daemon to be disarmed, but red armored soldiers appear behind him, facing off with the King's Guard. I don't think any of them wants to take a blow from Dark Sister, sister, and since Viserys' dagger was drawn, I guess it's just understood that Daemon was executing the king's order, though the scene ends with Alicent closer to the Iron Throne than Rhaenyra. Orwell tells Rhaenys,
It is ill luck to look upon the face of death.
The stranger has visited me more times than I can count, Grand Maester. I assure you, he cares little whether my eyes are open or closed.
It's Westerosi tradition for the dead to be buried with stones on their eyes, those stones painted with open eyes, so that they can greet the stranger. Remember, Rhaenyra quipped to Laenor that "I should have been there" could be their house words. And like the two of them, Rhaenys is just tired of missing things. She's tired of death sneaking up behind her back to claim her loved ones. And now she wants to face death head on. At the family feast, Alicent prays,
May the mother smile down on this gathering with love. May the smith mend the bonds that have been broken for far too long. And to Vaemond Velaryon, may the gods give him rest.
Yeah, citing the smith is interesting as the mender of broken things, but also a forger of weapons. Also, ironically, it was a smith who sliced off Vaemon's head, but Matt Smith, Daemon, does, by breaking up the fight at the end of the meal, mend things at least temporarily. Viserys grosses everyone out with his empty eye socket to appeal to the warring sides to make peace, and Rhaenyra and Alicent seem to genuinely toast each other. Aegon continues to insult both Jace and Baela, but Jace is able to calm himself and toast Aegon and Aemond. Meanwhile, Helaena just mutters to herself.
Beware the beast beneath the boards.
Yes, more prophecy from Bug Girl! First, we gotta just hear out her toast.
I would like to toast Baela and Rhaena. They'll be married soon. It isn't so bad. Mostly he just ignores you. Except sometimes when he's drunk.
Yeah, you notice there was a laugh in the background? That totally came from Matt Smith, Daemon, because of course it did. But let's talk about our prophecy here. Beware the beast beneath the boards. It could refer generally to the monster within the house, the rot of the family. It could refer to the skull of Balerion the Black Dread beneath them in the dungeons, and the trappings of Targaryen's false prophecy. But I think the beast beneath the boards are the rats scurrying beneath the boards of the Red Keep, and the danger they and the rat catcher, Cheese, will pose to Helena's side of the family. Though, let's be honest, I think at this point even Helaena doesn't even know what it means. But the dinner seems merry. At one point, Rhys Ifans does this insane golf clap that seems to genuinely crack up Olivia Cook. Might be calling back to that weird clap that Otto does when Viserys arrives in the hunting camp in episode 3. Viserys watches all this pleased, but more and more of the dancing overtakes him in frame, and he leans forward in pain, forcing his exit, and as he's carried out, timed perfectly carried in at the same time, is this roasted pig that is placed directly in front of Aemond, reminding Jace and Luke and all of us of their pink dread prank on Aemond. That's what pisses him off right now. So the insults come back out.
To the health of my nephews, Jace, Luke, and Joffrey. Each of them handsome, wise, strong.
Jace takes offense to this.
I dare you to say that again.
Why? It was only a compliment. Do you not think yourself strong?
Yeah, the closed captions capitalize strong on that last one, underlining this as a deliberate insult. A fight breaks out, but Daemon breaks it up.
Wait! All of you go, now.
Yeah, you can see the math in Aemon's eye. Is this the Uncle Daemon who lost to Sir Criston in the tourney, the knight I just beat earlier? Or is this the Uncle Daemon who just killed the guy with my name plus a V? Rhaenyra and Alicent have a warm goodbye.
Let me see the children home. I'll, return on Dragonback.
Yeah, she likely will, but probably not in a friendly way. We learn that Talia, Alicent's maid who helped her cover up Aegon's assault of Diana, and likely several others, reports to Mysaria, the White Worm. It's worth remembering at the end of episode 6, when Talia entered the room with Alicent and Larys Strong, Alicent sent Talia out. So Alicent's scheming with Larys might remain undisturbed from her vulnerabilities from Talia and Mysaria. Then on to the final scene, the camera floats into Viserys' chamber over his diorama of Valyria, much like we are from the point of view of the specter of death, the stranger coming for the king. Alicent gives Viserys milk of the poppy, making him delirious. And with his one eye closed, he mistakes Alicent for his earlier conversation with Rhaenyra. The guy is so obsessed with the future, he's literally unstuck in time right now.
You wanted to know if I believe it to be true. Aegon,
Our son.
his dream, the Song of Ice and Fire. It is true. What he saw in the north. The prince that was promised.
Prince Aegon.
To unite the realm against the cold and the dark. It is you. You are the one.
So this reminds us of Viserys' chat with Alicent by the bonfire in episode 3 at the Hunt, when he told her he was a dreamer but wasn't so confident about it. Now, Alicent was never told specifically about Aegon's Song of Ice and Fire like Rhaenyra was, but now Alicent's misinterpretation of his ramblings as referring to her and her son Aegon equips Alicent with the same self-righteousness that Rhaenyra has been using to justify her actions. It's this show's way of justifying both women's decisions as coming from a futurist sense of duty. But again, as I said after episode 1, since Jon Snow, who would have become Aegon VI, he isn't the one to kill the Night King, he never sits on the Iron Throne as king, all of this is arguably based in false prophecy. The show is not about what will actually happen, it's about freaked out people who misread the signs. I love how we get this close-up of the Valyrian steel dagger. Yeah, I love that subtle sound there. It personifies this dagger with a malevolent sentience, as if it's a kind of cursed relic that never should have made it out of Valyria and destined to doom any Targaryen who tries to use it. Perhaps only the hands of a Westerosi stranger, as Arya did become a disciple of the many-faced god. Can the dagger be properly wielded? Viserys reaches out his hand and he gasps his final words. Yes, he's envisioning Emma here. It's her face that he's caressing. Almost a way of saying that for him, the stranger might take the form of his first wife. Really, so few characters in George R.R. Martin's world die of old age or of natural causes like this. So this reminds me of the death of Viserys' descendant, Aemon, Maester Aemon, who gave up his titles to join the Night's Watch and could have become king, but instead let it pass to his brother, Aegon V, who died tragically at Summerhall. And now, based off this show, an argument could be made that Aemon might have also known Aegon's dream. On his deathbed, he called out to his baby brother, whom he had nicknamed Egg, and talked about his own dream.
Egg. I dreamed that I was old.
This is one of my favorite moments from Game of Thrones. I love it even more now, if you consider that Aemon might have also been a Targaryen dreamer, but his dream was that he would die an old man, and thus not be the Targaryen destined to unite the realm against the cold and the dark. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at EAVoss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I love Master Aemon. Aemon was dope in Game of Thrones, but I with this episode, I just told myself this is Viserys' last hurrah, and just seeing when Daemon helped him up, and he was like, I didn't need no help, and then Viserys kind of looked at him and was like, it's me, brother, and I was just like, man, like, you know, and because they never seen each other in so long, he always longed for his brother to be with him, and then there's this one last time, my brother's by my side. And as you know, he's ascending to the throne. So I sit there and tell myself that was a special moment. And then just, yeah, I was like, damn. One thing I kind of hated about it was I can't stand how they do black people on this show. You know, Game of Thrones included with the Unsullied, and now with Vaemon. But Vaemon did, he kind of deserved it because he wouldn't shut up, you know, but I hope Corlys was, you didn't even get to show his death, or like at least a proper death, but it is Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? I'm just happy that black people was in it. Can't wait. We're almost to the end, and I'm like, I just seen what George R.R. Martin was saying, that you need at least 4 seasons to really have everything fleshed out as far as what happens with the Dance of the Dragons. And everybody's like, man, you need to pay attention to finishing your books, which I think he's going to finish Wind Whisperer or Ice Whisperer or something like that. So he's going to finish basically season 6 of Game of Thrones. So I'm telling myself, I hope this is fully fleshed out to where he finishes his book. I don't know if this Song of Ice and Fire is really done or not. I really hope, but I know a lot of people was like, a lot of plot points is not in the books. So that's why I tell myself, I'm like, yeah, he need to be, although he's working on this, he need to be working. He really needs to be working, you know what I'm saying, just to get this done before, I don't want another season 6 with this show. This show is crown number 1 right now to me, and he needs to finish it. But like I said, Paddy Considine, I think is his name. I really think he's definitely going to be with the Emmys, and just any daytime TV, Golden Globes. Just, I really want him to get his flowers, as he really did a good job as King Viserys Targaryen, and I loved every minute that he was on there. I feel like he was trying to be balanced. Everybody used to call him a softie, but he was trying to have peace under him. Rhaenyra was just like, she just messed it all up. So, you guys enjoyed my reaction to House of the Dragon, everything that we missed, details that we missed, and the breakdown. Subscribe to my channel, post a comment down below, and like the video. It's your boy, D. Dyson. Peace.